So check it out. It's Friday, TGIF. Welcome to the About Mansfield Consumer Advice Series. I'm your host, Steve Casillo. And as we do every Friday, we bring in right over there, Phillip Washington Jr. Say hello to the Mansfieldians.
How's it going, Mansfieldians?
How's it going, Mansfieldians? You got a big weekend planned?
I do not.
I don't either.
Which is good, right?
Oh, I am looking forward to resting. Not only resting the entire body, but resting my voice, which I can hear now, is I kind of overdid it last night.
Oh, yeah, you had a gig, right?
I had a gig.
Yeah.
Your topic today really has to do with building a business plan.
Yes. It's a simple way to do it, too.
Go for it.
Because I feel like business plans are, when people think about it, they think about like some 20, 30, 40, 100-page document that has all this stuff in there that nobody ever really reads, not even the one that puts it together. And if you do put it together, I'm sure you're never referencing it to actually implement it into your business. So this is, at least that was my experience. And so this is a simple way that I learned to build business plans for my different business ideas over the years.
Yeah, and I find that especially what's called solopreneurs, people who own and operate the business by themselves, they don't have a business plan, that they've got an idea, they've got a little capital, they start their business, but there's no direction.
Yeah.
Because they didn't build that plan ahead of time. And not only, as you have talked about on your podcast, starting a business is running the business with the end result in mind.
No, 100%. Like I like to think about, and this is an evolving thought that I've just evolved and fine-tuned over time. But like you said, I like to build businesses with the lifestyle that I want to have in mind on the front end, and then start it from that aspect, right? So meaning like, if you want to build a business that makes money and gives you free time, then just build free time into the business plan, right? Build free time into how you execute the business, right? Put parameters around it. Say, hey, if I'm going to build this business and I only want to work 40 hours a month, right? Then let me think about businesses that allow me to do that versus thinking about the money and then building a business and then trying to do that later. Right?
All right, Phillip, serious question.
Yes.
How can I work 10 hours a week?
Yes. So it's like you said, starting with the end in mind. So it's saying, all right, I need to find a business that has a big pain point that people are actually going to need. Because I think a lot of people build businesses based on past performance. So they say, oh, this type of business worked. This person made my friend lots of money. Oh, this business is a no-brainer. Everybody makes money on this business. But at that point in time, it's a commodity business, right? Which means like it's going to require lots of capital or lots of hours worked, versus if you are solving a problem that's a big pain point for people right now, and there's not a lot of people solving the problem, right? I like to think, what doesn't make sense to me, right? That question, what doesn't make sense to me, allows you to find ideas that are ripe for a good entrepreneur who's going to answer that problem for lots of people. Because if it doesn't make sense to you, it doesn't make sense to a lot of people.
Right. You built as an example on your website, or I'm sorry, your podcast, again, Wealth Building Made Simple. You gave an example of pretty much a consultant who links people who are applying for student loans or people who are going into college, and linking them with how to. Well, you talk about it. You're the expert.
Well, and you know what? And let's modify it. Let's do a different one, more unique for the audience, and that would be that me and you can tie into.
Sure.
Let's say you have a successful Mansfield business, right? Today, you have a successful Mansfield business, meaning like you're bringing in great revenue, because there's a lot of them.
Yeah.
And you're saying, all right, we did well, but the world is changing. I'm saying you're an entrepreneur, and you're in Mansfield and you're looking at all these businesses that are thinking that thought, right? So I'm going somewhere for a second. So there's a lot of businesses with lots of resources that are thinking that thought, and you go, business is changing, and the where people consume information is changing, right? You go, it doesn't make sense to me why all these businesses are spending money on like radio and TV when there's less and less people watching radio, TV, and the cost of that relative to internet marketing content is like astronomically different, right? You see, the clue of Hollywood fight is a big clue, right? Once you have labor unions fighting about content, you know that's inflation. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And so you go, it doesn't make. And if I talk to a business owner that's spending all the money, they're going, yeah, it doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense to me when I go, well, why are you doing it? Well, we're doing it because what we always do. That's what used to work, right?
Oh, yes. It becomes a habit.
It becomes a habit, right? And so as an enterprising entrepreneur, right, as Steve is, right, you may say, okay, I saw it coming, right? So you go, okay, I can take a fraction of the budget of what these businesses are using for their current content. We can create their own content and still, with that smaller budget, still have plenty of room to draw people to the content through Facebook ads, through influencer marketing, right? Through being on other people's podcasts, which there's ways to do that like for free, right? But there are studios, i.e. Podcast Mansfield, right, that can look at your ad spend and say, oh, this is a true story. I mean, literally spending hundreds of thousands a year, right? You go in there and go, you can like get content produced for your show for a couple $1,000 a month, and then if you spent, a fraction of what you're spending of the 100,000 on Facebook ads and influencer marketing, you can actually reach more people because here's another thing: the TV and radio is attracting a demographic that's buying less and less, right? Just lifespan. If you just do the math of a 60-year-old or 50-year-old who typically are like TV watchers or radio listeners, and you say, how long are they going to buy? Maybe 20 more years, but it's decreasing, right? But then you say, okay, where are the 30 and 40 years hanging out, which have 40 years of spending? Where are they gravitating to? YouTube content, watching podcasts on YouTube, listening to podcasts on their ears, right? I mean, watching their favorite content on Instagram or Facebook, and people are going, I know that. Right? I know that. Well, why are you not spending the money? Because
TikTok.
of habits.
And TikTok too. And
because of habits. But if you're in the middle building a business where you're bridging the gap, you become like the best business is where you become currency, right? You become a medium of exchange, right? You connect the businesses with the medium to make money, and you take a little bit of vig, but everybody wins because they're still spending less than what they're spending doing a thing that everybody else is doing just because it's what it used to be done. And there's a million businesses like that where you go, this doesn't make sense.
In getting to that result of working 10 hours a week, how important is it to build your team? And because I see you've got your marketing department, your production department, you've got and so on, your sales department, which really goes back to Robert Kiyosaki of let other people generate income for you. Talk about building a team.
Yeah. So once you have the model right and you're solving a big problem, then you're gonna get lots of money that comes in. And then going back to what I was saying before, if you know that you want to only work 10 hours a week, then you can back into how many clients do you need to generate the revenue you want, plus hire a team, and then sticking with those clients, because even in today's economy, since everybody works digitally, like going back on my example, even now, you can technically just go get clients, partner with a studio like Podcast Mansfield, have them do the production work. You take a percentage of what you sell, for that, and then you and then you never it's a lot of ways to do it, and we probably can't say it in 10 minutes. But I mean, the way is you find a team, right? If you can create the vision, and then your vision includes solving a problem for the customer, and then solving a problem for vendors, right? Then you're just getting paid for putting everybody together. This is what I talk about it being a medium of exchange. Like if you become the medium where you go, like an entrepreneur and a good investor, like doesn't actually ever need to do any work, right? You can just look at the problem and then say, okay, they're spending too much money over here. They can spend less money by doing this and get more profit. All right. What are the components that need to be involved in that process? This, and this. All right. Can I charge them this amount and still save them money and help everybody? Yes. And let me just put everybody together.
Well, isn't that that's the job of an entrepreneur is finding the problem and creating a solution? That's
exactly what that's what they get paid to do. That's why entrepreneurs are so rich and wealthy, the good ones, because some people are sole proprietors, right? But not entrepreneurs, right? A sole proprietor is just somebody who, like, what do you call that? I forget how Robert Kiyosaki calls it, but it's like you are working for money, but money's not working for you. You know what I mean? Versus in this scenario, like everybody's working for your vision, and since it's your vision and you put it together, like you get paid for it. You know.
Right. And even let's take it all the way down to a restaurant. What's the problem? I'm hungry. What's the solution? I'm feeding you. That's a very simple, very basic way of stating that the entrepreneur and you have to obviously deliver a good product or a good service.
Mm-hmm.
But
and even in that context, even in a restaurant, like you can build that out and you can go, right? Because if you can say, yeah, Phillip, but a restaurant has all these costs, right? That I don't like. And I go, cool. Are you a chef? Yes, I'm a chef. Do you love to cook? I love to cook. Do you like the idea of having a restaurant? I don't know how I feel about that. Leave that out, right? Do you love to cook? Yes. Do you want to make money being the cook? Yes, right. And you keep playing with it. And then you go, there's no rule that says you have to have a restaurant, right? You can book private, like you can build your brand as a chef, creating videos on the internet, showing your recipes. You can build a follow-up and an email list, and then you can launch private dinners that you charge $200 a ticket for, sell out tickets in advance, which allows you to go buy everything you need in advance and rent a spot. And then you just like get paid to cook with like no overhead, right? And then by the way, then you just build up your savings. And if you want to, you buy a food truck and have somebody run it. If you don't, whatever, keep doing what you're doing. If you want to eventually buy a building and buy a restaurant, you can over time, but you don't have to, right? I think the bigger picture of building a business plan as simple as like just break all the rules and start with like, how do I want to do this where it's enjoyable, right? And then just build your world around that versus building your world around what you think you have to do because that's the way it's always been done. There are no rules in business.
And then maybe training a team of chefs to create what you have created, and now you're running the business from St. Lucia.
You can. Infinite ways to do that if that's what you like, right? And I'm only saying that because some people might like, no, I actually like cooking.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so like maybe.
Yeah, that's true. I love cooking, so I would probably be involved with that process.
Yeah, but it's more like, but if you love cooking, but you don't like business, you don't like the marketing, you don't like, then you just hire everybody else to do that to where you can just do what you love. You know what I mean? Because you can build, if you got the vision and you got the belief, you can build every other component around that with people that love that part of the process. Mm-hmm. And then it becomes like music, right? Isn't that what music is?
Oh.
You find somebody who loves playing the drums,
harmony,
who loves playing the guitar,
melody, notes, black notes on paper.
Yes.
Now, if someone wanted to learn more about financial matters, right over there, how can they reach out to Phillip Washington Jr.?
Best way is either go to stonehillwealthmanagement.com if you want to do some financial planning or investing, or you can go to wealthbuildingmadesimple.us to hear my always updating thoughts around business, money, finance, entrepreneurship through my newsletter.
That is another 10-minute nugget of information. If you're on your coffee break, get your butt back to work. And that's Phillip Washington Jr. We do this every week. Phillip, have a great weekend. Let's do it again next week.
You too, Steve. Thanks.
We appreciate you listening to the About Mansfield Consumer Advice Series. By the way, if you own a business and you are interested in being a part of the Consumer Advice Series, if you have the knowledge to give information in 10-minute increments to the consumers, shoot me an email to info@aboutmansfield.com. Again, that is info@aboutmansfield.com. We'll tell you how we can get you all set up. Appreciate it. We do it again next week right here on the podcast.